I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, sometimes when you scratch the surface, you find a whole lot more underneath than you ever expected. People look like they're living ideal lives, but that simply isn't the case. Our next book is called Losing My Identity. It is written by Maggie Matthews. It is her real life story. It is a powerful read, a story of a woman overcoming obstacles, overcoming hurdles, overcoming abuse, but finding a way out at the end. Maggie, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you, Logan. It's lovely to be here. Thank
Lovely
you.
speaking with you. It's an amazing book. It must have been, in many ways, difficult to write because you had to relive the journey a little bit, right?
Absolutely. It was difficult to write, but the reason I wrote it was because I wanted to share the story because during lockdown, violence rose, especially in the UK. And so I wanted to share the story to be able to inspire other people that they could get through something like this and to be able to help them, inspire them, and let them know there is light at the end of the tunnel. And for me, I found it was like closure for that part of my life and letting go of the past and a very, very good healing process for me.
For the folks at
So,
home, tell them briefly what your story was. You were living what appeared to others to be the ideal life, a successful husband who was doing well, but that was just the surface. Underneath, it was quite tarnished.
absolutely. Yeah, we had the perfect life on the outside. We had a beautiful home. We had a very successful business. Had amazing holidays and properties abroad. And my husband at the time worked very, very hard. And because he worked so hard, he ended up burning himself out because he was working sort of like, 6 days a week. And because of that, he went to the doctors, but he would not listen to them and take some time out or delegate the work. So he ended up sort of taking drugs instead. And the life at home that we had, which was so happy, loving, and peaceful, turned into trauma, violence, walking on eggshells, not be able to sleep or relax, not knowing what side of him was coming home, whether it's Jekyll or the Hyde, Mr. Nice Guy or Mr. Angry Guy. And it was very, very hard and terrifying, to be honest, and trying to keep that front for people to know that nothing was going on behind closed doors was really hard. But I did it for the children's sake and to try and keep a peaceful home and a happy home for them and try and keep it together while all this was going on and hiding it from people.
His drug of choice was heroin, which is a very destructive drug. So you stumbled upon the information that he was using this drug, right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, because of it, his behavior changed so much and he became so distant and was keeping such irregular hours. I originally thought he was having an affair because, again, money was going from the business and I didn't know where the money was going because he wouldn't tell me where the money was going. And of course, his body language changed, his sleeping patterns changed, his eating patterns, and erratic behavior. And so, in the end, I asked somebody who knew was a bit more streetwise than me, and they said it was drugs that he was taking. So I had to confront him one night when he came home from work, and after obviously a massive argument, he did admit that he was taking it, but he didn't see that there was a problem with it because it was keeping him calm, and he would be able to carry on doing the work that he was used to doing and keeping our business going. And he didn't think it was a problem at all. He thought we could have both worlds, but I wasn't
Right.
willing to accept that.
I don't blame you. How did you find the resolve and the strength to get out of the situation?
I didn't find it. I had to have it because of my children. I wanted to keep them safe. I didn't want them to see their dad, doing the drugs, taking the drugs and the effects. But obviously, they did see it because I couldn't control the whole of the family life. So I had to have the strength, the courage, and determination to get through every single day the best I could to try and keep them safe and protect them as much as possible from the damage that was being done inside the house and from trying to protect them from the violence and the anger and the outbursts that were totally erratic. That, we were just walking on eggshells all the time, not knowing who or what was coming through the door at the end of the day. But my children kept me going. I was fighting and I was staying strong for them because I knew I had to be strong.
What advice would you give to another mother who is going through something similar? Maybe it's not heroin, maybe it's cocaine, maybe he is having an affair. It's, some other element has entered the life that has upset the apple cart.
For me, I wish I'd gone and spoke to somebody sooner. I let it go on for too long because I was naive, I was vulnerable. And when you love someone, it's very hard to even accept that they can change so dramatically within such a short space of time. So I'd go out there, get the help, speak to somebody. There's amazing resources out there and networks, and they will support you and help you and guide you, and take you somewhere safe so you can have that support. But you've got to think of the children. It's the children that suffer so much without even realizing it because they're victims of circumstances which are out of their control and they don't understand what's going on.
Mm.
So you need to do it not just for yourself to be protected, but for the children as well.
How are your children doing?
Very good, thank you. Yes, it was a long time ago now, so they're very much into adulthood with their own relationships and their own lives. So they're doing amazingly. I'm so proud of them. So proud of them.
And was their father ever able to turn his life around?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're out of contact.
No contact since that situation. No.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you're working to help others. Tell us a little bit about your work outside of writing this book.
I do a lot of counselling for bereavement and grief, and also I do some healing as well, because I believe that what I went through, I use these techniques as in bereavement and grief counselling. I use some Reiki healing and also hypnotherapy because that's what I want to give back because that was given to me to give me the tools to be able to get strong, to be determined, to have the courage to be able to move forward, and also to make me feel worthy again and to love myself again. Because the way that you are treated and the way that they say things to you and the awful words that you hear, you feel worthless. You feel as if nobody's going to want you again. You feel like you can't love anybody again and nobody's going to love you. So you need to work with people and have some sort of therapy to be able to move forward with confidence and have self-belief that you are better than that person that someone made you into or tried to make you into, and to let go of the fear and the control, which also can keep you in that situation from a distance. So from turning yourself around from being a victim to a survivor.
Absolutely. It can be difficult talking to someone about this stuff, but it's very important, right?
Absolutely, because if you don't talk to somebody, then you're not going to be able to move on because you stay in that state of fear and control, and you're still letting that person to control you from a distance. So again, it's learning to value yourself, make yourself feel worthy, and to learn to love yourself again. And again, it's also set an example to the children, like for my son, to show him that it's not acceptable for males to be able to behave like that and get away with it. And then for my daughter, so that she didn't have the fear of men thinking that all men were the same. So again, I was trying to do an all-round counselling session for all of us, but for their individual needs at the same time. And because we did that at an early stage and got that help, they've turned out to have normal, loving, peaceful relationships in their own life, which is amazing.
That is wonderful.
And it's and having the trust there as well. Trust is a big thing.
Yeah, because when your parent is the one who is acting like this, who's acting violently, who's acting unpredictably, that's their first relationship. That's their first experience with a man. The mother's the first experience with a woman. So they tend not to trust people if that sacred relationship is broken like this.
Absolutely. And that's why you need to show them that they can trust and they can have normal, loving, peaceful relationships. And what we went through was just a one-off, unique situation, which hopefully will never be repeated again and for nobody else to go through. And that's why you do need the support and the network out there to be able to help you, because you cannot do it by yourself. And there is so much out there. And again, I wanted to write the book to show the process of going through the steps of what you do go through from the night of the incident to going into a refuge, which is brilliant at the time. And then obviously having a counselling afterwards. You need to go through that process. And people, I don't think, understand the process that you do have to go through to get to the end, to be able to be the person that you want to be, to live the life that you should be living.
Absolutely. Now, you wrote this during lockdown. Lockdown for a lot of people was a time of introspection. It was a time of creativity. It was a time when you could think, where you were, didn't have the distraction in many cases of work, didn't have the distraction of other people. What was it like during lockdown writing this chapter in your life?
Again, like you said, I had to relive it and go through every single moment. And the first time I actually wrote it, I was very emotional. I was very angry, and I felt physically sick. And I thought, did I actually really go through this? It doesn't seem real now because it was such a long time ago. It's like, my God, how can anybody go through that and get through it as well as what we have done? So at the end, I felt a lot of, I felt very proud of myself for being the mother that I am, and proud of the children for them turning out the way that they are. And again, I discussed for me to write the book and if it was okay with them to be able to do it. And they said yes, because they wanted to help other people as well.
Absolutely. Well, they must be very, very proud of you. They had two examples in their early life, one of a person who was troubled and then a person of strength. I'm sure they admire that strength in you. And the fact that you documented it in a book to help other people is wonderful. It's a powerful read. It is called Losing My Identity. It is written by Maggie Matthews, and she shared part of her story here today on Spotlight. And Maggie, we thank you for that. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Logan. Thank you for your time.
My
Thank you.
pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.